In the heart of Mecca, where the idols were lined up around the Kaaba, and where the Quraysh took pride in their warriors and heroes, a knight was born who would change the course of history. A knight undefeated in battle, a man whom the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, called the Sword of Allah, none other than Khalid ibn al-Walid ibn al-Mughira. Our story today takes us through the stages of his life, from his childhood in Mecca to his pre-Islamic wars and his sudden transformation into one of the greatest Muslim leaders in history. Khalid was born into one of the most illustrious families of Quraysh. His father, al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, was a leader of Mecca, a wealthy and influential man. In this affluent household, Khalid was raised with power and prestige from an early age. He learned horseback riding, martial arts and swordsmanship, growing to become the foremost knight of Quraysh, tall, muscular, and with eyes that sparkled with intelligence and courage. Everyone knew he was born to lead. But Mecca was not peaceful. Muhammad, peace be upon him, called people to Islam, and Quraysh was divided into believers and opponents. Khalid was among the fiercest enemies of Islam. He fought against the Muslims in the Battle of Uhud, playing a decisive role in the defeat of the Muslims. While the Muslims were initially victorious, he used his cunning to exploit a gap in the Muslim ranks near the mountain of archers, causing a crushing defeat. From that moment, his name became synonymous with military ingenuity, even among his enemies. He also participated in the Battle of the Trench, but could not achieve much against the steadfastness of the Muslims. Over time, Khalid began to wonder, why did Muhammad keep winning despite being outnumbered and out-equipped? After the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, Khalid felt the truth was with Muhammad, so he set out from Mecca, uncertain, riding his horse and contemplating how long he could continue to oppose this religion. On his way, he met Uthman ibn Talha and Amr ibn al-As, both heading to Medina to embrace Islam. The three of them entered the presence of the Prophet, who smiled at them and said, "Mecca has sent you, its finest men." From that moment, Khalid became one of Islam's greatest warriors, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, referred to him as a sword from the swords of Allah, which he has unleashed upon the polytheists. Not long after, Khalid faced his first test in the Battle of Mu'tah in modern-day Jordan. With 3,000 Muslims facing 100,000 Romans and their allies, the Muslim leaders Zayd ibn Haritha, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, and Abdullah ibn Rawaha were martyred. The Muslim army was on the brink of collapse, but Khalid stepped forward, took the banner, and demonstrated exceptional leadership. He fought bravely and skillfully, then withdrew the army safely, ensuring their survival. From that day on, he earned the title, the Sword of Allah. A year later, Khalid led one of the wings of the Muslim army in the conquest of Mecca. He entered the city that he had once fought against Islam with, but this time he entered as a Muslim, head bowed in humility to Allah. He saw the idols being broken around the Kaaba, the very place where he had been raised to worship them, and that moment changed his heart forever. In the Battle of Hunain against the tribes of Hawazin and Thaqif, Khalid fought valiantly, sustaining severe injuries, but he never wavered. During the Battle of Tabuk, he commanded a division, marching through the barren desert under the blazing sun, steadfast and determined. After the death of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, many tribes reverted to paganism, and Abu Bakr sent Khalid to confront the apostates. In the Battle of Yamama, Khalid faced the forces of the false prophet Musaylimah. It was a brutal battle in which many Muslims were martyred, but Khalid's tactical genius turned the tide, leading to Musaylimah's death and the end of the rebellion. Then Khalid moved on to Iraq, where he faced the Persians. He led several fierce battles, achieving great victories. Then he marched towards the Levant, where he confronted the Romans. In the Battle of Yarmouk, Khalid showed his extraordinary skills as a commander. The Muslims faced a massive Roman army, but Khalid reorganized the forces, employing brilliant tactics that led to a decisive victory, opening the gates for the conquest of Syria. However, after this victory, Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Caliph, decided to remove Khalid from his command of the army. People were astonished. How could such an undefeated general be dismissed? But Umar feared that people would begin to think that victory was tied to Khalid, not to Allah. Khalid accepted the decision with humility, saying, "I fought for the sake of Allah, not for Umar." He continued to serve in the army as a soldier, seeking no personal glory, only the pleasure of Allah. Khalid spent many years on the battlefield, participating in dozens of campaigns, and never once was he defeated. But his end did not come on horseback or in the heat of battle. In the year 21 AH, in the city of Homs in Syria, Khalid fell ill. Lying in bed, he reflected on his body covered with scars from countless battles. He said his famous words, "I have fought in many battles, and there is no part of my body without a wound from a sword or spear. Yet now I die in my bed as a camel dies. May the eyes of the cowards never sleep." And so, the sword of Allah passed away, leaving an indelible mark on Islamic history. He was buried in Homs, where his grave and mosque still stand as a testament to a man who knew no defeat. This was the story of Khalid ibn al-Walid, the knight, the leader, the warrior. A man who began his life as an enemy of Islam, only to become one of its greatest soldiers and commanders. His story proves that true strength lies not in the sword alone, but in sincere faith, pure intention, and humility.